Somewhere in the multiverse, Tom Cruise is Iron Man, Emily Blunt is Black Widow, and Spider-Man has Timothée Chalamet's face under the mask. Every actor currently wearing an Avenger suit almost lost that role to somebody else. Some of these near misses came down to a single scheduling conflict. Some came down to one actor getting cold feet days before signing. And the MCU already has a built-in way to explore what those other timelines could have looked like. The Multiverse. So here's every original Avenger we almost got instead, and which version of the MCU we'd be living in right now if the casting had gone just slightly differently. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't Marvel's only option for Tony Stark. Tom Cruise was seriously in the mix early on, and reports say Clive Owen was actually Marvel's top choice before Downey ever entered the conversation. Owen had the action star resume, the physicality, everything the studio thought they needed on paper. What he didn't have was the exact mix of self-destructive charm and real-life redemption arc that made Downey's casting feel less like a role and more like true stunt casting. In another universe, Iron Man never becomes the founding face of the MCU because Clive Owen's Tony Stark never needed audiences to believe in a comeback story.
No problem trusting Jon Favreau. His films Zathura and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang came out on the same weekend and tanked. And I think we were both really hungry to try to reestablish ourselves as a formidable duo, albeit individually. Again, just like Attenborough, his endorsement of me to play that character. And then Kevin Feige having the wherewithal to say, okay, bit of a risk, let's do it. We like risk. Wound up being, a life-changing 15 years.
There was a lot of push and pull on that piece of casting. I know I met with Robert. I saw in his eyes. He just made a very compelling case. I just saw it. He agreed to go and do a test, which I think you could even see.
Okay. Done. Done. You're still Buckingham Palace. What do we got? What, I gotta break out the psyops? There it is. There's a smile. It's okay. Yeah, so it's natural. Less muscles to smile.
Chris Hemsworth almost wasn't the God of Thunder at all. Alexander Skarsgård met with Kevin Feige multiple times and made it to the final rounds before getting cut. Daniel Craig was approached even earlier, back in 2008, before there was even a director attached. He turned it down to stay focused on Bond. And in maybe the strangest near miss in this entire list, Hemsworth's own brother Liam made it deep into the casting process too. Chris has said Liam got right down to the wire on getting the part. In another universe, the Hemsworth who becomes a movie star in 2011 isn't Chris, it's his younger brother.
How did Chris Hemsworth get cast as Thor? I auditioned for Thor many years ago, probably 11, 12 years ago. I didn't get a call back. I think my audition sucked. I think that was the response I got. And then my younger brother auditioned and he got very close. He got down to the last 5 people and then didn't get it. And they were like, look, he's great, but he's a bit young. My manager then said, well, he does have an older brother. I came back in, re-auditioned a few times and just had a different attitude. Maybe I had a little more sort of motivation that my little brother had got a look in and I hadn't. I also had done a couple of films in between those 2 auditions, so I had a bit more experience and confidence in what I was going to do.
Chris Evans almost had real competition for Steve Rogers. John Krasinski auditioned for the role years before The Office had fully launched him into stardom, and long before Marvel finally found a small way to bring him into the universe as a Mr. Fantastic variant. Krasinski's since joked about the audition, saying that seeing a fully jacked Chris Hemsworth in the waiting room made him lose confidence on the spot. In another universe, the actor known for playing America's most earnest, wholesome hero isn't Evans at all. It's the guy from The Office.
I heard that you screen tested for Captain America.
That's
that
right.
Role.
Big deal for me because, first of all, I love those Marvel movies. I love superheroes. I love imagination. When they asked me to test, they actually allowed me to put on the suit. I was on a set. It was all very interesting. But I remember the only bummer of it was I was putting on the suit, just watching it. I was like, this is so amazing. And I got about right to my waist. I was still shirtless, feeling pretty good about myself. It wasn't 13 hours yet, but Felt pretty good. And all of a sudden, Chris Hemsworth walked by as Thor, and he's like, "Hey, mate." And I went, "I'm good. This is stupid."
Scarlett Johansson wasn't the first choice for Natasha Romanoff. Emily Blunt was actually offered the role first, but she was already contracted to Gulliver's Travels and had to pass. She's since called it a heartbreaking decision. Natalie Portman was also in the running before landing in the MCU anyway, just as Jane Foster instead. In another universe, the Avenger who becomes one of the franchise's most enduring characters for over a decade isn't Johansson at all, and Portman never becomes Thor's love interest because she's already busy being a spy.
You were offered the role of Black Widow in the Marvel series, and that's a great role for Scarlett Johansson, but that would have been a great role for you too, and a slam dunk big role. But you had to turn it down because you're so fucking busy that you were doing Gulliver's Travels at that point.
No. I actually do want to clean up the story on Gulliver's Travels. I was contracted to do Gulliver's Travels. I didn't want to do Gulliver's Travels. It was a bit of a heartbreaker for me because I take such pride in the decisions that I make. They mean so much to me, the films that I do. So that was tough.
Mark Ruffalo wasn't even the first Bruce Banner in this franchise. Edward Norton played him first in 2008's The Incredible Hulk before Marvel recast the role entirely for the Avengers. It's one of the only times in MCU history where the almost cast actor didn't just audition. He actually played the part on screen first. In another universe, there's no need for speculation at all. Norton's Hulk just kept going, and the entire Bruce Banner arc we know from a decade of Avengers movies never happens the way it did.
But when you did the Hulk, were you worried about that?
A little bit.
Was there any hesitation? Because I was surprised when you did that. I was like, this is an interesting choice.
As is evident, I got more worried about it. I was very interested because I loved it. I'm not like snobby about it. I love those like comics, and I subscribe to them.
Yeah.
I subscribe to Hulk. All the darker stuff, like Dark Knight, Frank Miller, all of it was really, it was something I really.
This one's got the best story of the entire list. Timothée Chalamet auditioned for Spider-Man Homecoming twice before Tom Holland got the role. Years later, accepting a Best Actor award for Call Me By Your Name, Chalamet told the whole story himself. "I read twice, and I left sweating in a total panic." He was so shaken by it that he actually called his own agent and said he wanted to go back and audition a third time. His agent talked him out of it. In another universe, the actor, currently one of the biggest dramatic leads of his generation, instead spent the last decade as Peter Parker. And interestingly enough, there's now real talk of Chalamet still joining this exact franchise, possibly as Harry Osborn in an upcoming Spider-Man film. He might not have gotten the mask, but this story isn't necessarily finished yet.
Honestly, my favorite part of this last year, getting to act in other films and getting to talk about Call Me By Your Name, had not been having to audition constantly. I try to learn from the folks I work with, and I did a reading with William H. Macy once, who said to me that the best thing to happen to him in his life, besides having a wife and kids. In 2015, I auditioned for a casting director named Sarah Finn at her office on 588 North Larchmont Boulevard, and a project I was dying to do, Spider-Man. And I read twice, and I left sweating in a total panic. I called my agent, Brian Swartstrom, who's here tonight, and I said to him, "Brian, I thought about this a lot, and I have to go back and knock on that door and read again." And he told me the story of Sean Young, who, in an attempt to become Catwoman, had scared everyone away when she showed up at the studio gates in costume.
Benedict Cumberbatch almost wasn't Doctor Strange either, and this one has more near misses than any other role on this list. Joaquin Phoenix was Marvel's actual first choice, and the deal reportedly almost closed before he backed out over how much of his schedule the role would demand. Tom Hardy was named as a reported frontrunner at another point in the process. And Ethan Hawke has said, in his own words, that he came as close as anybody could to landing the part, right after Phoenix dropped out. Even Ryan Gosling, the same actor who just got cast as Ghost Rider, was reportedly considered at one point too. In another universe, the Sorcerer Supreme isn't a British actor with an Oscar nomination already under his belt. He's Joaquin Phoenix years before his own Oscar win, playing magic instead of chaos.
Was there anything Doctor Strange?
Here's my opinion about it, or whatever it's worth.
worth. Living in the age of Marvel, Marvel has a tremendous amount of power about what everybody's going to see. Yeah. They're making movies at a high rate and they're making them successfully. There's a problem that comes along whenever Marvel's going to approach Joaquin or me or anybody like is in love with acting, because there's a tremendous amount of salesmanship that is now really important to a studio like that.
Yeah.
So it's a tremendous amount of time of your life where you're working and you're not acting.
7 heroes, 7 moments where one decision, a scheduling conflict, a change of heart, a single audition could have completely rewritten the MCU as we know it. The multiverse is usually treated as science fiction inside these movies, but every single actor on this list is proof that Marvel's own reality was genuinely one decision away from looking completely different. For real, no time travel required. If you want more of the biggest what-ifs in Hollywood casting history, subscribe, because there's a lot more of these stories to tell.